Mind over matter. Spirit over flesh. The mind over matter idea automatically nullifies the idea of the yin-yang symbol as a symbol of accepting evil. The Sun Temple Hawk knows that the line that separates light and dark must be beneath one's feet. When one transforms into their soul, when they die, if they do not have a pure light filled with grace, soul, they cannot travel through the sun gate. In other words, if they don't have a spirit that is pure light and filled with grace, they won't be able to travel through the sun gate into heaven. This is why to marshal is to order things in a way that allows people to go to heaven, and martial arts are the only way to order mankind. The other arts and science are ways for mankind to express themselves. And when in the divine order, these things may help one to find themselves and their soulmates. It takes a great fool and a bigger coward to think that these non-martial arts are ways to order the divine order. The higher light contact sparring process, the decision process, and the process of conveying intense light and outmaneuvering the others is the process of defeating the darkness in the opponent. I want you to think about paint or, leopard, draw, pay, L, drape, O-L, where pan and pain can be substituted for paint. It is also the difference between the panther, paint or, and the leopard, leopard, draw, pay, L, and drape, O-L. The darkness is an order defined by psychology, chemistry, science, illusion, demonstration, and brute force. In this order, the old cunning snake, the ancient serpent, becomes fat and ultimately transforms into a vessel for Apep, a dark and empty vessel. God demands that mankind builds toward the spirit of the pure, selfless, intense sun, and not the dark emptiness. The only way man could have built it is in the order that ends with me. Remember, settling for one of various forms of a worldly, undisciplined, God-denying, spirit-avoiding, world-conforming coward is of set. Settling for an empty vessel, child, and not risking their flesh intensely for the true spirit is also settling when in darkness. The Bible's greatest mistake is not clarifying this Sun Temple martial arts order in a way that no one could misrepresent. Paint or, draw, pay, L, leopard, drape, O-L. The O being the sun cycle, the reproductive cycle of Ra. Pain and pan can also be substituted in the wordplay for paint. So Haru, the agility and the timing of the hare, the hawk and the hare. Leo, the Ra, the sun, right? Expressing these traits in the form of the leopard to dominate this world with the truth and the true spirit of God. Okay. So the hare also avoids trouble, and the leopard spirit smites evil in this world. Set is brute force. So is Mont. The hippo is territorial. Min, drugs. Min Hor is a form of horse that is invalid. Khan's Hor. Khan's, the racer, the moon god, son of Amen is also a form of horse, okay, which is invalid. This is also why Ya, Ja, and La are also invalid. They are moon deities. Okay, the sun marshals. The woman takes in the sun spirit and breeds in the spirit of the sun. For her to seek to dominate over the moon is using Apep tactics, snake tactics. So Apep, trickery, wealth, and abundance. of worldly spoils. Okay, the ancient serpent, remember. In 4000 BC, man had already been around for 100,000 plus years. The natural wisdom that was kept versus the ideas that were discarded in different cultures and societies merged and came together in Egypt. That is when, using a system of light and consistency with God's true nature, expressed itself in martial combat, the martial valor, the discipline, the determination, the dignity, the loyalty to God and the divine order, allowed for one to humble himself enough to learn from his mistakes, to conquer his opponents, and to lay the foundation in Egypt. Perhaps the only recorded society where the foundation was laid in pure sunlight, in the Spirit of God. And eventually, it didn't take long for people to start snaking the Pharaoh and for other spirits, or energies rather, because I would define these other ideas as energies, and the only true spirit to be the Spirit of God. So when you're using your body, yourself, your body heavy, your flesh heavy desire to usurp, is your race, your gender, your figure, etc. Okay, you're saying this is my figure, and I want to be placed above in the true spirit order. Okay, people then use this kind of snaking. And the snake is low to the ground and so on to have their way. Okay, and the dragon can be seen as an evolved snake that has outmaneuvered the other reptiles to become the greatest embodiment of evil. And you add the vantage point, you beat the dragon when you apply the leopard style, which is the difference between the painter, right? Paint or, pan or. Okay, the pain. Okay, what pain are we referring to? There's different ways to apply that word. The pain of training, the pain of not accepting the Lord, which is true happiness. Anything other than true happiness and harmony and true peace of mind is pain. And so on, mind, body, and soul. There are different explanations and applications, and these are some of the most important ones. Okay. So, pain or what, right? It is, first, you draw and pay El. You pay God homage by moving in his spirit, and you draw. It's more than just mimicking. It is truly drawing the spirit and then embodying, so to speak, the spirit. Draw, paying El homage, God, the one true God, not the Canaanite deity. Okay, and then it is Leo poured, right? Now that you draw it, you pour it on your whole body, right? You drape. The Leo poured, then you drape O-L. You drape the body completely, pour and drape. Okay. So, paint, pan, pain, or draw, pay El, Leo poured, a drape O-L. So the panther, the black panther, the darkness, the chaos, using drugs for the chaos, using trickery, using chemistry, psychology, psychiatry, etc. And brute force, or you do it the right way. Okay, this is why in our society you see the Black Panther is celebrated, and Tarzan is fighting the leopard people in this comic that I've posted the picture of in some of my past videos. Might be hard to find at this point. Remember, also not hearing the true spirit in my words and relying on the presentation, which they have the technology to slow down and to misrepresent me, is also a mistake. You need to hear the truth in my words, my argument. Okay, Eri, the heart of Africa, where we're all from, go into the heart of the matter, symbolically and otherwise. Coming down from the sky, those, the fight or flight, as opposed to surrendering to the conquerors of the land, which is Ethiopia and the North Africans kind of represent, and so on. Okay. The elephant is comfortable with grace and his position versus the hippo being highly territorial. Okay. You think about Star Wars, Yoda is an embodiment of a smaller person who can maneuver effectively like a small bird taking on a big bird in flight, versus the big bird having to plan his attack carefully, boom, and fly down. So this also plays out in various forms in sparring. Another reason why it's fair, the set movements of karate and of kung fu, which seeks to complement their set movements with a sort of Bruce Lee, be like water and flow between the moves, right? Blur the line between the moves, okay? versus the techniques like capoeira in its original form, and my system, which is more of a harmony with nature and less of an emphasis on crisp, defined moves, and more of an emphasis on getting in harmony with God and getting the job done. Bruce Lee himself said it's a balance between what you naturally want to do and your focused, mindful application, saying I'm going to do this move in this precise manner versus what I'm naturally inclined to do. That's kind of a yin-yang philosophy. The Sun Light Temple Hawk seeks to be pure with God, with grace, but also learns how to apply these moves. So the moves may at times come off as less precise of an angle, but it is what works, with an emphasis on not injuring themselves. And this gets interesting how this plays out. So it's kind of like the harmony flows through you. The mind, body, and soul, and spirit, where it's spirit heavy, okay? The mind is just in the right place to apply the spirit through the body, and so on. All right, to convey it, to direct it, to channel it, to follow it. So in other words, the way to look at it is the order, right? The spirit is ordering you in harmony to do this move versus you're ordering the spirit. You're saying, I'm going to try to channel this kind of energy, which it ends up being, right? If you're ordering it, you're moving in an energy as opposed to the harmony of the spirit, the harmony with God, being one with God. Okay. So the spirit of God in family. So it goes God, spirit of God in family, spirit of God in country. That is the order. So, when you look at this thing, the reason why that is because countries, tend to be faulty. Okay, you don't have as much control over that. God gave you this family. Yes, that's important. The family does come first, but spiritually, the transference of that spirit from father to son. When you die and you leave behind your spirit, a spirit that is consistent with God, that leads your son and your descendants, your seeds, to God. Okay, the spirit descends from you to the next generation, to the next generation. It's the most important inheritance. You don't sacrifice that for money. And you don't sacrifice the spirit for the flesh. It is the other way around, which is also the message of the Bible. It is what samurais do. There's different messages. The nature of that spirit and its highest, the highest understanding of it is a pure light temple, sun spirit. Okay. So I think that about covers it for now. I'll leave it there.